Hey guys, so I'm back again, and this time I'm going to be giving you a bit of a tutorial on how to use a Chaos Reach Super for the Attunement of Control Stormcaller. I think this is a good time to show how to use a super because I don't remember the last time actually somebody killed me in the Crucible with the super. A lot of people, I don't know, they speak very negatively about it, and rightfully so. I mean, it is a very distracting super, but if you use the super properly, you can really wreck people in the Crucible. I mean, this skill tree has one of the best neutral games in the Crucible. You've got a melee that can hit people behind walls, and if you spec your exotic armor right, and me personally I prefer using the getaway artist, you can be a powerhouse during your neutral game. So if you learn how to use a Chaos Reach super properly, you can do some amazing things in your gameplay. Now, I'm going to start off this guide by talking about a few things that you should not be doing at all when you're trying to use a super. One of the biggest things that people try to do is a jump up into the air, and they see about 3 or 4 opponents, and then they pop the super and they try to shoot their laser beam down on all 4 of them, and then they just get shot down out of the sky. I'll show you an example of me doing this actually in the Crucible, and obviously because I become a floating target, people are just gonna shoot me down. So here you go. Now, if you're trying to go for montage clips, or if your opponent is completely distracted, then maybe you can try to do this, but I still don't recommend it. Honestly, most of the time that I've done it, I just get shot down out of the sky. If you're doing this in comp, then good luck to you. And if you're in quick play, nowadays there's a lot of skill-based matchmaking. The opponents that I face on a regular basis are pretty good. So this is something I definitely wouldn't do. Now I'm going to talk about another tactic that you should try to avoid doing. Generally people like to use a Chaos Reach as a shutdown super. So what that means is when your opponent pops their super, you're going to activate your Chaos Reach and use it to shut them down. You got to be very careful when you do this though, and I see a lot of mistakes that even myself I make sometimes. It takes a lot of practice. Basically, let's say you're facing a Night Stalker and he pops his super, and then you're going to activate your Chaos Reach. If you activate it too early, that gives your opponent the opportunity to just dip into cover, and then your super is completely wasted. So you want to make sure you activate your super at the optimal time where your opponent has no cover to go into, and that laser beam is going straight at them. This takes a lot of practice, but please don't be that guardian that pops their super from a mile away, and then your opponent basically just can dip into cover and you've wasted it completely. Here I have actually a very good clip that's an example of this, and hopefully you can understand exactly what I'm saying. So take a look. I'm sure that we can all resonate with what just happened here on the screen. I'm sure it happened to all of us. It happened to me many times as I was learning to use a Chaos Reach super. And that's why now what I'm going to do is talk about how you should be using the super. And in a moment I'm going to show you a clip of how I bait my opponent to where I want them to be. Generally what I like to do is if I hear my opponent activate their super, I'm gonna back up into a lane that has no exit routes, and when I see my opponent jump into that lane, that's when I'm gonna activate the super. So I have a great example of me doing this to a Striker Titan. This is actually before the patch came in where they nerfed the Striker Titans, so I'm really glad that I did this. But now whenever I activate my Chaos Reach super, this is what I'm doing with against all of my opponents pretty much. So take a look at this. So as you saw from that clip, I baited that Striker Titan exactly where I wanted him to be, and when he was close enough, I activated my Chaos Reach and shut him down. And then what I did is I deactivated my super early enough so that I can keep a third of my super energy. This is why I keep saying that if I can spec my neutral game well, I'm able to shut down any super that comes at me and then keep my opponent in their neutral game. And now what I'm going to talk about is how I build my Stormcaller to be as effective as possible. So the way that I like to set up my Stormcaller is I like to put on as much discipline and recovery as possible. The discipline is there because I want to have my grenade up as often as possible, and the reason for that is because I like to use the Getaway Artist exotic gauntlets. What these exotic gauntlets do is when I consume my grenade, I get a supercharged Arc Soul, which I like to call Pikachu. So when I go into my 1v1 engagements, I've got that Arc Buddy constantly helping me out and lowering my TTK. Now, the other thing that's great about this setup is I've got a melee that can hit from far range and hit people from behind walls. I've got really good recovery. And on top of that, I have a perk called Pulse Wave. So if I'm critically damaged, I can run away from my engagement a lot faster, recover my health, and then come back in much quicker as well. So this is why I keep saying that the Chaos Reach Super, along with all the other amazing neutral game perks that this skill tree has, is incredible. So I hope you guys learned something about this skill tree, and I hope to see more Chaos Reach Supers in the Crucible going forward. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end off the video with not too many clips, but I'll just put about 3 or 4 clips of me actually using the Chaos Reach Super so that you can see how I bait my opponents into where I'm looking for them to be, and then I can shut them down effectively. Anyways, I'm working on another guide right now. It's going to be on an aerial combat guide for the Dawnblade. So for you people who would like to shoot from the air, hopefully you can learn some things from that. And I will have some advanced tricks in there for some of you pros as well. But for now, I'll end it with this, and I hope to see you in the next one.
You have advantage. Ikora would be proud of you, Warlock. Delightful! I can feel that in my bones! That shut them down. You captured Zone C. You have zone advantage. Delightful! 2 for 1. Down. 3 minutes. You're evenly matched. Double down. You made that look easy, Warlock. I bet they didn't expect that. Delightful. This is it! 2 for 1. Yes! 3 down! Double down. Your legend grows. Now you're fighting with heart, Guardian. Double down. 3 opponents down. Did you hear that? My soul just shivered. Zone C captured. Triple down. 3 minutes. You're winning. Stay strong. 2 for 1. What can stop you if you fight together? Nothing. Double down. Double down. That's why we have fire teams. Yes. 3 down.